The Bold and the Beautiful, August 25th, 2025 episode breakdown. The morning after, a proposal interrupted and secrets teetering on the edge Monday, August 25th, 2025. The air was thick with tension before the sun even came up. Will Spencer woke with a pounding headache, clothes strewn around the room, and a mind fractured by confusion and dread. He stared at the ceiling for a long time before daring to sit up. Something didn't add up. The night before had been a blur, booze, lights, laughter, dancing, and then darkness. And in that darkness, he remembered her, Electra. At least, that's what he thought. A girl wearing a mask, her voice familiar, her perfume almost unmistakable. He remembered reaching for her, calling her name. She didn't correct him. She didn't speak much at all. But now, hours later, when he confronted Electra face to face and thanked her for coming back to him that night, her face twisted in confusion. "What are you talking about?" Electra asked, genuine bewilderment turning to unease. "I left the party early. You know that." Will's stomach turned. He thought she was joking. But when Electra's tone sharpened, when her brows furrowed and she started backing away, it hit him. She wasn't there. She never came back. Whoever was in his bed, it wasn't her. Electra, now furious and heartbroken, assumed Will had hallucinated the whole thing. She chalked it up to too much alcohol, perhaps some party drug slipped into his drink. She accused him of imagining her, dreaming about her. But Will knew better. The memories, though fragmented, were real. He had been with someone. And now he had no idea who that someone was. The camera shifts back to Forrester Creations, where a different storm was brewing. Carter Walton, suit pressed, eyes clear, heart pounding, was preparing to ask Hope Logan to be his wife again. This time, he wanted it to be fast. No delays, no drama. Just love and certainty. After everything Hope had been through, after everything Carter had lost, he thought this could be their moment. But just as he dropped to one knee, voice shaking with hope and anticipation, Ridge Forrester walked in. Not knocking. Not apologizing. Just barging in like he always did. Ridge stopped short, eyebrows raised as he saw Carter with a ring in hand. "Whoa, did I miss something?" he asked, half grinning. The tension in the room froze like ice. Carter stood quickly, awkwardly pocketing the ring. Hope didn't speak. Ridge tried to lighten the mood, but the damage was done. Whatever Carter was about to say, whatever Hope might have answered, it was gone now. Interrupted. Spoiled. And the worst part, Ridge didn't even know what he had just interrupted. Back in the echoed chamber of Will's spiraling thoughts, he began piecing together the night. If it wasn't Electra, who? One image lingered in his mind, a masked girl standing near the bar, smiling just a little too long. He remembered the glint in her eyes. He remembered thinking she was Electra because of the mask. But now, with clarity beginning to rise, he wasn't so sure. Could it have been Lainey? The intern had been hovering all night. She'd flirted, lingered, tried too hard to laugh at his jokes. And Lainey had always resented Electra. If she thought she had a shot to sabotage that relationship, would she take it? Will confronted Lainey in the hallway the next day. "Was it you?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Lainey, caught off guard, paused just a moment too long before replying. Her face lit up, not with guilt, but with glee. She didn't confirm it. She didn't deny it. She just smiled and said, "Why? Do you want it to be?" That was enough to rattle Will to his core. Lainey had always played a dangerous game with flirtation, but this felt calculated. Cruel. He couldn't tell if she was messing with him, or if she had really done it. Or worse, maybe she knew who had. Elsewhere, Liam Spencer had a different kind of awakening. After weeks of believing he was dying from a brain tumor, weeks spent reevaluating everything about his life, he now had something he hadn't expected. Time. The tumor was benign. He wasn't dying. He had a future again. And now he had to decide what to do with it. Hope had been by his side during the darkest nights. Her touch, her words, her warmth, it was like old times. They had reconnected emotionally, deeply. And though Carter now stood in her life, Liam felt a door reopening. A part of him still belonged to her. And part of her still wanted him. Liam didn't rush his decision. He talked to Bill Spencer first, opening up in ways he rarely did. Bill, as always, was blunt. "Don't waste this second chance," he told his son. "If you love her, go get her." Back at Forrester, Carter and Ridge had a tense follow-up conversation. Carter tried to brush off the interrupted proposal, saying it wasn't formal. Ridge didn't believe him. Ridge, with years of intuition and experience, saw the truth. Carter was falling hard. But Ridge wasn't convinced it was the right match. "You sure she's over Liam?" he asked. Carter didn't answer. Meanwhile, Electra made a decision. She wasn't going to sit in silence and stew in betrayal. She needed to know the truth about what happened that night. She began retracing Will's steps, digging through security footage, texts, timestamps. She wanted to know who he had been with and, more importantly, why they had chosen to deceive him. She wasn't prepared for what she found. A blurry camera shot from the edge of the party. A masked girl slipping out of the back door with Will, hand in hand. A girl who moved like Luna. It couldn't be. Luna was dead. Everyone said so. Her body was never found, but her car was. Her phone. Her blood. But if Luna was alive, if she had staged her death and returned in disguise, then everything changed. The girl Will slept with wasn't just a stranger. She was a ghost. And if Luna was alive and impersonating Electra, then Will had been tricked. Used. A victim of something far worse than a drunken mistake. Electra confronted Will, demanding the truth. Will, exhausted and still unsure what he believed, confessed everything. The mask. The confusion. The fleeting moments of clarity that made no sense. And Electra, instead of exploding, went cold. "This wasn't cheating," she said. "This was something else." And suddenly, the story became much bigger. This wasn't just a love triangle. This was criminal. If Luna had faked her death, returned in secret, and used Will's confusion to get close to him, what was her motive? What was she planning? And what if Sheila Carter knew? That question lingered in the air like smoke. Because in LA, every lie leads back to Sheila. Every manipulation has her fingerprints. If she had anything to do with Luna's return, or worse, if she orchestrated it, then the Spencer-Logan dynasty was under threat like never before. But for now, Monday ends with more questions than answers. Carter stands on shaky ground, unsure if Hope's heart still beats for him. Ridge suspects more than he says. Electra is chasing a ghost. Will is teetering on the edge of collapse. Liam is planning his next move. And somewhere, possibly in the shadows of LA, Luna Nozawa is watching it all. This is just the beginning. Electra Forrester had always played the role everyone expected of her, the graceful muse, the poised daughter of privilege, the young woman with beauty, lineage, and charm. But now, cast under the cruel spotlight of suspicion after a night gone horribly wrong, Electra made a decision that would mark the beginning of her transformation. She was no longer willing to be misunderstood, mislabeled, or misused. She was done waiting for someone else to fix the mess. What happened between Will and the masked woman wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was manipulation. And if no one else was going to uncover the truth, she would. In the hours after confronting Will, Electra's initial heartbreak morphed into something sharper, colder, and more precise. Pain became focus. Confusion became strategy. And when the puzzle started pointing toward Luna dead, buried, but now seemingly resurrected, Electra knew she needed help. But not from her usual circle. Not from pampered socialites or overpaid PR teams. She needed someone who could dig, someone who knew how to chase shadows in a city built on secrets. She needed Ivy Forrester. Ivy had seen her share of scandals and had the scars to prove it. She wasn't afraid of family drama or backroom politics. When Electra explained what had happened, that Will had mistaken someone for her, and that someone might be Luna in disguise, Ivy didn't flinch. She didn't laugh. She leaned in. She believed her. Their investigation began at Il Giardino, the restaurant where the celebration had taken place, the place where the lights were dim and the masks were plenty, where Will's memory began to fracture. Ivy worked the staff. Electra checked the security system. Footage was conveniently missing, at least from the back exit and the hallway near the restrooms. But Ivy, sharp as ever, traced the timestamp of a door left ajar at 11:47 p.m. That was their first breadcrumb. A server recalled seeing a girl wearing Electra's signature silver mask, but thought she was acting oddly reserved, avoiding people. A valet remembered the same woman exiting the side door with Will, who was clearly intoxicated. Neither of them looked happy. Neither of them looked like they knew where they were going. Electra dug deeper. She found a broken bracelet near the valet stand, one that didn't belong to her. It matched a piece Luna had worn once, in an old social media post before her disappearance. The chain was custom, one of a kind. Electra stared at it, letting the reality crash in. Luna was alive. She had been there that night. She had worn Electra's likeness. And she had knowingly let Will believe it was someone else in that bed. With the bracelet in hand, Electra returned to Ivy. They now had more than suspicion. They had evidence. And Electra wasn't about to keep it quiet. But exposing Luna wasn't just about clearing her own name or Will's. It was about unraveling a narrative carefully woven by someone who had faked her own death, vanished for months, and returned only to wear someone else's identity like a second skin. The next logical step was confrontation, but Electra wasn't foolish. She knew Luna wasn't working alone. The pieces moved too smoothly. The disappearance, the timing, the surveillance gaps. There was influence behind it. Someone powerful. Someone dangerous. Only one name fit: Sheila Carter. If Luna was the actress, Sheila was the director. If Luna set the stage, Sheila built it. And Electra knew walking into Sheila's orbit meant risking everything. But she didn't flinch. She scheduled a meeting. Not as a victim, not as a grieving girlfriend. As a player. Sheila greeted her at the estate like a cat eyeing a bird she hadn't decided to kill yet. She smirked. "To what do I owe the honor, darling?" Electra didn't smile. She didn't blink. "I know Luna was at Il Giardino the night of the party. I know she wore my mask. I know Will was too drunk to consent. And I know someone wiped the security footage." Sheila's face didn't change, but her silence stretched. Electra stepped closer. "You think I'm some pretty face in a Forrester dress? I'm not. I grew up in boardrooms, legal briefings, brand wars. I've watched my family tear itself apart and rebuild stronger. I am not afraid of you." Sheila chuckled. "You should be." "No," Electra said, ice in her voice. "You should be. Because if I expose this, if I hand what I have to Ridge, to Brooke, to Steffi, it's not just Luna who falls. It's you. And we both know you've run out of lives to burn." Sheila moved fast, closing the distance with a predator's grace. "You think you're smarter than me?" "No," Electra said calmly. "I think I'm louder. And I think this city's ears are tired of hearing your name whispered in fear. I'm ready to shout." The moment hung in the air like a fuse waiting to be lit. But Sheila didn't strike. Not yet. She saw something new in Electra now, not just courage, but control. And she hated it. The encounter ended without violence, but not without a declaration. Electra left that estate knowing she'd stared down the most dangerous woman in Los Angeles and hadn't blinked. And now, armed with truth, she was ready to reclaim not just her name, but her power. Later that night, Ivy and Electra drafted a timeline of everything they'd uncovered. They were methodical. They had proof. They had witnesses. They had motive. The next step would be deciding when and how to go public. Will, still traumatized, hadn't said a word to the media. He barely spoke to anyone. But he trusted Electra. and now she had the strength to speak for both of them. At Forrester Creations, whispers had already started. Carter noticed Hope drifting emotionally. Ridge was watching everyone more closely. Brooke sensed tension she couldn't name. And Steffi, always one step ahead, was already picking up on a storm brewing in the background. Electra's shift from passive to active didn't just change her own arc. It threw the whole Forrester, Spencer, Logan ecosystem off balance. A new player had entered the game, one who wasn't afraid to expose everything. And Luna, wherever she was hiding, would soon feel the full weight of the truth she tried to bury. The tables had turned. The innocent had become the hunter. And Sheila Carter had finally met a threat she couldn't intimidate, seduce, or destroy. Electra Forrester was done being a name in the background. Now, she was the one writing the story. And she wasn't leaving until it ended on her terms.